Hello and welcome to Racers Now. It's a massive week in the world of horse racing. There's 8 Group 1s in Europe this weekend alone, the 14th and 15th of September. And in this video, we're looking at the 5-day decks and the headlines that were for the St. Leger, the final classic of the season. We've given it a bit of stick already on the channel in terms of the runners and lack thereof and lack of excitement. But headlines on Monday at the 5-day decks was there was some excitement added because You Got to Me, the Irish Oaks winner, filly, has been supplemented to the race at a cost of £30,000. Ralph Beckett trained. She was an excellent second in the Yorkshire Oaks on her most recent start. She won the Irish Oaks, as I mentioned before that. Stays all day. Looks an ideal opportunity to pick up some classic prize money against the boys. And yeah, if you finish fourth in this race, you're going to get that money back. There might only be 7 or 8 runners on the day anyway. So I think, yeah, You Got to Me could turn out to be decent enough business for Beckett and the connections there. The odds for the race as it stands at the moment on this Monday evening are hopefully going to be going across the screen there. And the other headline on Monday was that Godolphin's Ancient Wisdom, a very talented horse in his own right, has been taken out. He's seeking and absolutely has to have soft ground, one of the most ground dependent horses in the country, anywhere near the top level. We are told by Charlie Appleby he is fit and well, but he just has that preference for soft ground, must have it, and he might get an opportunity to get it later in the season, whether that be on Champions Day or in Paris in the first weekend in October. And it looks like we're going to have good, decent enough ground for the middle of September at Doncaster all week. It's currently described as good, and it's expected to stay that way throughout the week. Obviously, the race at Doncaster on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this year. A bit of a change to the St. Leger Festival, but absolutely, the St. Leger itself takes centre stage on Saturday, and I think it's at 3:40. So yeah, the race was crying out for a bit of an excitement or a bit of spice added to it, and that is what You Got to Me provides. And she's priced up in there at 11-2, as you can see. And yeah, that's pretty good that she's been put in, because we were in danger of some unsurprising Aidan O'Brien domination that I'm sure we're going to come on to. The last video of the St. Leger on the channel, O'Brien had 9 of the 15 entries. He's reduced his team to 5 at the 5-day stage. There's 10 in there, 5 of them trained by Aidan O'Brien, and Los Angeles is still one of them, even though we've been told for weeks and weeks that Los Angeles is going to go to the Irish champion, run 3rd or 4th there, then go to the Arc, and he's been left in at the 5-day stage. Not massively surprising. It's the type of thing that the Coolmore connections do, all bases covered type thing, but he's definitely, we're told, an intended runner in the Irish Champion Stakes, which takes place 15 minutes after the St. Leger on Saturday. So just in case something happens. I thought it was pretty curious that he was left in, given that they've been so adamant that he's running in the Irish champion, Los Angeles. But anyway, yeah, just to be clear, Los Angeles, for me, is slow as a boat, and he should be running in the St. Leger. I think he's the most St. Leger candidate type horse that I've seen this season, yet he's going down in trip to 10 furlongs for the Irish champion. Not for me. There's no reason at all why a horse can't run over 1 mile 6 on the same day as the Irish champion in the St. Leger and use that as a prep. If they want to use a race as a prep, use that as a stepping stone to the Arc. I don't get it. He stays all day, slow as a boat. It's a classic. He could win. He's got absolutely no chance of winning the Irish champion. I just don't get it. But everyone will call him a training genius. And that's what he probably is. So there you go. So it's as you were at the top of the market. Voltager second, Illinois, unbeaten Gordon Stakes winner Jan Bruegel, and runaway Irish St. Leger trial winner Grosvenor Square are at the top of the market. They've been that way for 3 or 4 weeks now, since York, since the Voltager, and since Los Angeles was dubbed a Irish Champion Stakes horse. So yes, top of the market for the Ballydoyle boys with those 3. Wayne Lorden is set to ride the favourite Illinois, as he did in the Voltager, where Illinois was second behind the aforementioned Los Angeles. Who will ride Jan Bruegel and Grosvenor Square will be interesting, because they're both in there, 4-1, 5-1 ish. And they both got chances, clearly, on the market. And they are currently spare rides. Ryan Moore won't be coming over. He's staying over in Ireland. for the Irish champion. So yeah, excellent spear rides to pick up for someone. Sean Levy, I'm sure, will be on the shortlist. Former employee of Ballydoyle, so I think he might pick up one of them. But as we mentioned on the previous video, Jan Brugel, he might be unbeaten in 3. He's got that profile, but he does look a tricky customer. He's been ridden by Ryan Moore on all 3 occasions so far. Had to be rousted along for a long way in the Gordon Stakes at Goodwood, which he eventually ended up winning by a neck, but that was a 4-runner race and he was 4-5. Form has been backed up slightly since, though. So I think Jan Brugel is going to be the most interesting because he looks a tricky customer. James Doyle might be on some way for David Manoussier on the assumption that Oisin Murphy will ride Wild Waves for his boss, Andrew Baldwin, although that's a no-oper Wild Waves and will even be declared. So I think if I can see Wild Waves not being declared, Oisin Murphy riding some way from the Manoussier yard, and then James Doyle possibly picking up Jan Brugel. Remember, the Doyler rode a Group 1 winner for O'Brien last year in the Yorkshire Oaks, so he's a definite contender for a Ballydoyle ride. Then you've got Mr. and Mrs. Marquand, who might be on the shortlist. Holly Doyle has rode a couple forward goers for O'Brien in the last couple of years. So I could see Holly maybe picking up the ride on Grosvenor Square and going forward. But we're going to have to see how the pieces fall into place on Thursday. And as usual, Aidan O'Brien will be the last person to declare his jockeys at probably around 1 o'clock on Thursday, and everyone else does it about 11 o'clock on a Thursday. Next in the market, as mentioned, is You Got To Me. She's been getting better and better with every start this year, let's be honest. I mean, she might have been second in the Yorkshire Oaks, but RPRs thought that was a £5 better effort than when she won the Irish Oaks, again, both Group 1. So, definitely interesting contender. Will stay all day and just puts a different tactical spin on the race. And, what could have been and what still might be Ballydoyle domination. I think You Got To Me definitely provides a different feel to the race with her being in there. Some Way is next for David Manoussier, who we've mentioned, but surely he's going to want some more rain to fall between now and 3:40 on Saturday to be seen at his best. His best form has come on softer ground. He was on what was described controversially or questioned by Aidan O'Brien as good for him in the King George, where he only finished 4th. He was 10 lengths back then. I don't think we learned a lot about Some Way in the King George at Ascot. That was very, very deep waters. But before that, let's remember, Some Way was less than a length behind Los Angeles in the Irish Derby. So he has got bits of form there. He'll need to replicate that and put a line through his effort in the King George, which was below par for Some Way. And he needs a bit of rain. Dear Mile, we're getting to the bigger prices now. Dear Mile has been tipped up by both SD and myself at different stages of this anti-post market for the St. Ledger. Will stay the trip, that is for sure, for Dear Mile, but won't mind the ground, but he will need to take a markedly jump forward on what he did at Windsor last time. Yes, that may well be considered a prep. He'd been off since the Derby and then returned in, towards the end of August at Windsor. Didn't win, should have won. He was 11-10 favourite, 4-runner race. Bit of a mess. We'll need to jump forward on that. But as we know, Owen Burrows knows how to train good horses. Then we're into the no-opers, really. Align the Stars and Wild Waves have been left in. They've not won a stakes race between them at all. And their most recent wins of the pair were in handicaps. I mean, what more do you need to know? They're any price you like. Then there's an O'Brien pace setter in Euphoric that may or may not run. I think Grosvenor Square supplies the pace angle. So do they need another pacemaker? Probably not, although he has been left in at this stage. As I said, You Got To Me definitely makes it harder for the Ballydoyle boys to dominate than it would have been without her presence. That's not to say that they can't and won't dominate. It'll just be more difficult. This You Got To Me stays. She's a threat. She's up there on rating. She gets the sex allowance, etc. Ralph Beckett's won this race before with a filly. Does make it interesting, and it's definitely what the race needed. But there's all sorts to look forward to. There's no necessary bet to go with at this stage. I think Illinois is pretty short now at 7-4. Remember, this is a horse that hasn't won on either of his last 2 starts. Although he's ran with credit. Has he got that sexy profile? No. But is he solid? Yes. Then you've got Jan Brugel, who I like. But he is that bit of a looks like a tricky horse, but developing all the time. So I would like to be with Jan Brugel if I had to pick one now. But I'll be waiting until jockey bookings. Will the tactics become clearer? Will there be a couple more come out of this? And I think we might end up with maybe seven on Thursday. Anything more than seven would be a bonus in terms of number of runners. So plenty to look forward to. We'll be back on Tuesday looking at the Irish Champions weekend. We might even get SD on for some anti-post. He loves the Portland handicap. There's all sorts to go at this weekend. So plenty to look forward to. And we are really entering that autumn season of Group 1s galore in the racing world. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon.